So self-care is defined as a skillful attitude that you practice throughout the day. If you know there's something that brings you back into being wholehearted, into being steady, into being really productive in your role, that's what self-care looks like for you. For people that are looking to develop their own self-care plan, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And if you make a couple of small changes, it can really change the long game. A lot of the time people will bring in a self-care plan and they're like, I want to do these 45 things. And then it just becomes another source of stress. To put in place a self-care plan, it can be formal or informal. And usually there's a couple of little really practical things in there about when you wake up in the morning, even things like how much water you have, the food that you eat, the company that you keep. And it is something that means something different to a lot of people. So for some people it's walking, for some people it's political involvement, for some people it's debriefing and supervision, for others it's gardening. The important part is that there's a structure that happens all the time. It's not saying that the structure is going to be the same for everybody, it's just saying that there needs to be some kind of structure. It's not pressure, it's about that idea. It can be something that's difficult to do, but it can be small and it can make you feel more steady, more grounded, more connected.
There's a lot of people within our team who like to deal with stress differently. I myself will play sports or go to the gym. Other people like to go home and just sit down and have a conversation with their partners. Meditation, yoga, going out with friends or family. If you like dancing, go and dancing. Anything that takes your mind off work is a good self-care strategy.
Over the last 4 or 5 years, they've changed the definition from a work-life balance to work-life integration, which is an interesting concept but can be quite scary for some. So a lot of people who are in this sector are in here because it aligns with their personal values, which is great because it means you can day to day know that you are contributing to social change. But unfortunately, a lot of the things they believe that they want for their clients, safety, happiness, fulfillment, contentment for their clients, sometimes they don't think that should be happening for them. If you're in those environments where there's a really uneven work-life balance, you can't stay in the sector for a long time. And a lot of people here want to stay here and make big changes for a long time. So if you increase that work-life balance, or that integration becomes very seamless and you walk your talk, it means that self-care becomes a part of your everyday life. It doesn't mean you take up all the space at the cost of clients. It means that you're okay to get to work. Also means that when you leave work, even if you've had a rough time, you've still got some steadiness of knowing that you did the best that you could. If you can bring in those self-care strategies really early on, you can be effective at your work, you can be a value part of the team, and you can also just return to the flow of being productive. Self-care is something that is just part of a habit that you keep showing up and doing, rather than something that's separate to your everyday life. To do this job, you don't want to just survive, you want to be able to thrive. And so it's important for your sense of self, for your sense of making sure you're efficient and effective at your work, that you feel okay at the end of the day. When your self-care strategies start to line up and fall into place, what happens is you start to walk your talk. So you start saying things to yourself that you say to your tenants and clients. So you say to your tenants and clients all the time, you're important, you deserve to be safe, you need to take the time, it's important you go through these steps, and the idea of value and steadiness. And when you start doing that for yourself, it carries a lot more weight when you're saying that to clients, because your values can't just be in line with your actions for your clients, they've got to be in line with how that you treat yourself as well. You just got to start somewhere. Remember, the best thing when you're thinking about self-care is not to get into that all or nothing attitude, not to think that you have to do 25 things a day to increase your self-care. You just have to do 1 or 2 things a day, and sometimes self-care is just as much of a shift in how you see yourself and how you see your colleagues, your workplace, and even what's happening with your clients. It can just be a small shift that can change everything.